Hey everyone, it's Erin with Hail Varsity, and I am joined by Greg, our recruiting analyst, for another recruiting question of the week. Greg, how are you?
I am very well. My legs hurt because I did too much leg work today, but otherwise, I am very well.
Well, what a way to start the week. Hopefully everyone who is watching, you have also had a successful start to your week, but if not, it's only Monday. You've got a whole week ahead of you, but we are here now to answer your recruiting question, which, as always, we really appreciate all of the questions that you ask, the responses that we get both on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We really enjoy watching sometimes a conversation that you just have among yourselves. You don't even want or need us, but we appreciate you letting us start the conversation. And this week's question comes from Theo on Twitter. And Greg, he wants to know, should we mostly throw the recruiting rankings out the window this year based on the limited evaluations that will have been done up until now? I assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, he's talking about the 2021 class and how little evaluation, but maybe he's talking about 2022, but at least they'll get some evaluation. I guess you're the expert. You tell me.
I took this as he was talking about 2022 because they missed out on all of last year's evaluation when they were, I guess, going into their senior year. So I took it as 2022, even though some of them will get some evaluation, like you mentioned, coming up here in June. But even then, it's going to be tough because I think a lot of that evaluation will go towards future classes, like when Nebraska has their camps coming up here in June, and when they get out on the road for satellite camps, I really think they're going to focus a lot or more heavily on 2023 and 2024 to see how those guys have developed since they last saw them as well. And they'll be sprinkled in with 2022, of course. But I say all of that to say that I do think that you should pause expectations on what you think about recruiting rankings right now, just because those evaluations haven't happened. Now, you're starting to see camps pick back up with the various sites and all of that here soon. So you're going to end up seeing updates to rankings. So you might see where, like, Nebraska wide receiver commit Victor Jones Jr. down in Florida, like, he's rated as kind of a mid 3-star. I could see him going on the camp circuit or having a strong senior season and really getting bumped up down the road. I think this is going to be a year where you need to wait until the end. And I think that there are going to be teams and players that move quite a bit after you get full evaluations, but it'll be a really neat challenge to see how schools did with their own early evaluations.
And I think the reason my brain went to 2021, to be clear, is because we think of someone like Heinrich Harburg, who came to Nebraska with really, like, they didn't get to see him throw in person at all. The first time they really got to evaluate him was when he was on campus in spring football himself. So I definitely think this question is interesting because I do think it actually hits on both of those classes, but almost in different ways. Because whereas 2021 would have maybe had some early evaluation, but fell off because they wouldn't have had anything over that last year before they, committed and ended up at a different, whatever program. That wasn't the case for 2022. They missed out on more of, I'd say, the early evaluation, but now we'll get that later evaluation. So like you said, you might see some some of those star ratings change, how they're ranked change, but it'll be interesting to see if the camp circuit really makes a difference for these individuals who really missed out on the early side of evaluation.
Yeah, that's going to be really fascinating to see. And like the kids like have a lot of pride too, right? And they want to, if they think that they should be higher ranked, they're going to definitely go out there and try to hit the camp circuit, even if they're committed to schools in some cases, to try and boost their star ratings, because I will tell you that they definitely pay attention to those. And so they'd like to see that, just so you or I would like to see us be recognized. If there were star rankings for journalists, we would like to be 5-star journalists.
We are 5 stars.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No one in the comments can tell me otherwise. Do not get in the comments and tell me otherwise.
That is absolutely true. So I think that will be interesting. And I think that, like, the really tough thing is you have to, as a program, trust the evaluation that you do. Like, whatever the traits are that you're looking for on film, because it's all been done on film, you have to be really solid in what you're looking for to get a true sense of what's happening, both in the 2021 class and in this 2022 class that's currently being built.
It's going to be interesting to watch. I think we've heard a lot of things from even Scott Frost right after the spring game when they talk about maybe the future of evaluation, having the opportunity to do more visits over Zoom. I do think this last year will have probably changed a little bit of how things are done, maybe for the better in the way that like more athletes will probably get a look or get a visit, even if it has to be virtual. And I think, especially when you think about someone like Harburg, obviously the evaluation can be done even if you can't see somebody 100% of the time in person, just because they took a shot thinking he looks pretty good from what we can tell without having ever seen him, do that in person. And it seems, at least right now, that it has worked out for them. So I'm particularly interested to see how it changes evaluation in the long run, and maybe even opens doors for athletes who would have previously not had an opportunity because maybe they couldn't get to the right camps, or maybe they couldn't have gotten on campus. Maybe this changes some things.
Yeah, I think that it really can, because I think that virtual visits in some shape or form are here to stay. And I think that that is a positive thing because, like you said, especially, and this can be kind of a thing that helps a school like Nebraska, where if you're having a harder time getting people to kind of take that chance is too strong, but basically take that chance to come to Lincoln from, say, California or Texas, and you want somebody to come in for the visit, and they're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to actually see out there. In the past, maybe, Coach Frost, Coach Held, whoever's recruiting that kid is telling them how great it is, and they're showing them pictures. But prior to this year, they weren't doing like these whole video virtual tours and all of this stuff. So now maybe you have that stuff built. You can send that to a kid and say, well, no, really, check out what this is actually like. And then you go, oh, okay, that can pique a kid's interest too, to get them to then come on campus and check out game day. I just think it's another tool to have to be able to sell your program and to get your foot in the door with prospects, which could be a great thing.
It's definitely going to be really interesting. Great question by Theo. Theo and anyone else who's interested more on this topic, you can find out more of Greg's thoughts tonight, Monday evening, in the Recruiting Notebook, 6 p.m. Central at hailvarsity.com, sponsored by Pinnacle Bank, who we really appreciate for sponsoring the Recruiting Notebook, which, by the way, isn't just Mondays. It runs Sunday through Thursday, 6 p.m. Central at hailvarsity.com. So you can just go ahead and bookmark that right now. Give Greg a follow on Twitter at Greg Smith HV. You can follow Hail Varsity and send questions really anytime. Greg has been putting a call out for questions, but oftentimes you've been leaving them in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, right below this video right now, or you can tweet them anytime. So we appreciate the discussion, the conversation, and the thoughtfulness of your questions. Greg, before I let you go so that you can work on that recruiting notebook for the evening, any final thoughts?
No, I definitely appreciate the conversation. There were a lot of really good questions this week. And I feel like we're going to have to do a follow-up video because there's a couple that continue to come up. And I'm interested in the ones that you guys repeatedly send too. So that's fun too.
Hey, maybe we'll have to start adding extra videos, or you might even see your questions end up in other recruiting notebooks. So again, go ahead and just bookmark that. Come back every evening, Sunday through Thursday, 6 p.m. Central. And Greg will have more on this topic tonight. So check it out. Greg, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk to you later.